David Velasquez. I am the North Florida Field Director for the LIBRE Initiative. The LIBRE Initiative is a national nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, and we focus on economic freedom issues in the Hispanic community. Before we go any further, though, I'd like to ask everyone to please silence your phones so that way they're not going off while the speakers are speaking. We're here today because Casa del Farero, the Potter's House, and the Potter's House Academy are great partners with the LIBRE Initiative, and we surely appreciate you guys coming out and all of the help that Nathaniel and his team has done for us, setting all of this up. They did a wonderful job. And it's great to be here in the very middle of the Hispanic community. I grew up literally 5 minutes from here. So I know this church, I know Pastor Rocky very well, and I am so proud of the school that you guys have, Tony. I really am proud of you guys. I've seen it grow from very small to now growing and expanding. I'm very proud of you guys and all of the work that you're doing. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here, for hosting this for us. We really appreciate that. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the panel and what we're going to do and kind of the format that we're gonna do it in. So I wanted to introduce our four panelists. Our first panelist is Jorge Lima. He's the Policy Director for the LIBRE Initiative, and he'll be speaking about LIBRE's position and what we think about school choice, not only here in Florida, but also nationally as well. And then we have, second, we have Lauren Chianese? Chianese, perdón. So she comes from Italian background. I'm Puerto Rican. So, and she is with the Foundation for Florida's Future, and she'll be speaking about all school choice, charter schools and private schools and all of that together, and also be talking about what's happening in the legislature as well, right now in this current session. And then we have with us Will Torres, who's a good friend of mine and a good friend of Libre's, and he is with Step Up for Students. I know a lot of you know him as well, and he'll be speaking specifically about the Step Up for Students program. And then we also have with him Gary Berrios from HCREO, Pastor Gary, as I know him for a long time, and he will be bringing up some testimonials and talking about HCREO as well. We want you to be able to ask some questions. I asked some of you to fill out some of these 3x5 cards before. So I'm going to ask the questions at the very end, but these are your questions to the panelists, and they'll spend some time answering those questions at the very end. And at the very end of the panel, we want you to feel free to ask one-on-one questions. Ask them, if you hear something that you're interested in, please ask them. We want this to be interactive with you all, but they will stick around, answer any questions, and for the media that's around, we'll also be doing interviews at the very end. Okay, so with no further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panelist. His name is Jorge Lima. He is traveling from Washington, D.C., where it's very cold, but he's with us today, and he's traveled a long way to be here. So if you would, please give him a hand. He's going to present Libre's position.
Thank you, David. I think I echo his remarks by saying big thank you to Potter's House, big thank you to my fellow panelists, and big thank you to all of you. I think it's very important and shows a lot of the commitment that you have to the education of your children to be here on a Friday when there's a very great carnival going on right outside. So I think that deserves a lot of kudos, and I thank you for taking the time to sit here with us and listen to what we think is a very important issue. As David mentioned, the LIBRE Initiative is a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, and we strongly believe in the prosperity of the U.S. Hispanic population. And so we dedicate ourselves to talking about very important issues to Hispanics and explaining a little bit about how they can get involved, why they should get involved. One of those issues is the one we come to talk to you about tonight, which is school choice. And I think all of you understand how important it is to have the ability to choose what is the best school, what is the best education for your child. Rather than being forced into any particular school based on your income or based on merely the street that you live on. We think that that's not the right process, and we think that it's important for parents to have a say and really be empowered to decide what is best for their children. So I think of all the panelists, I kind of have it a little bit easier because I'm just going to be talking about things that all of you already know, right? For example, Hispanics believe in the American dream more than any other demographic across this country. We believe that it is possible, and we believe that our kids and future generations are going to be achieving that dream and doing more than we did as their parents. I say that as parents because I'll share a little bit with you. I flew in this morning, as David mentioned, with my 1-year-old daughter. I had been warned about flights to Orlando, but I don't think you really understand it until you're part of it. I mean, it looked like a daycare. in that plane, and I give a lot of respect to the adults that were there traveling by themselves on business rather than going to Disney World, because it was not an easy flight. But my daughter, even though she's 1, my wife and I have already started having conversations about what we can do to make sure that she has a better future. Where is it that we want her to go to school? And we've been forced in DC to think about what lotteries we should enter to, because that's kind of the system that they have there. Or if we decide to move, where should we go? Because maybe that school is better, or that school has a bilingual program that we'd be more interested in. But it's sad that the move is what would predicate what our options would be. We should be able to stay where we are and still have this ability to choose what schools we want to go to, or we want our children to go to. So going back to that issue of the American dream, I think beyond this idea of the American dream, Hispanics, and these are poll after poll, national polls and even local polls that show the same kind of findings, general findings, is encompassed of 2 main points for U.S. Hispanics. We think that these 2 things are critical to achieving the American dream. The first one is hard work. We believe that the United States provides the opportunity for, if you want to work hard enough, you can succeed. The second one is education. And that means that we're dedicated to having our kids have the best education so that they can then best use their God-given skills to work hard and become everything that they hope to be. Regardless of what family they were born into, regardless of what their parents did, regardless of what country their grandparents were born in. That's the American dream that Hispanics believe in. And I think that's why school choice is so critical. Hispanic parents believe that they do have the ability to make good choices for their kids. We know that we can be empowered and actually make good decisions. There's some in government in Washington, some even in this state, that believe that some parents don't know how to make decisions, and that's better something done by the government, better something done by those officials that have been elected to office. We disagree with that premise. We think that each parent knows what's best for their children, and if given the opportunity, they would make the right choice. And so that's a little bit of what we hope to talk to you more about today. You'll hear from the panelists to give you more details about what's going on currently in the state of Florida. And you'll, based on that information, based on the petitions we've given you and some of the leave-behinds and takeaways that you'll be able to take with you tonight and read on your leisure in the future, you'll be able to make decisions and decide if this is something you want to be active on. But we encourage you to do so. We encourage you because your voice is important. LIBRE wants to and is an active member in the community and wants to fight for these things that we feel that are important, but we are only empowered if we have your voice to go along with it. So I encourage all of you, as David said, to read the petition and to understand that by signing that petition, you are lending your voice to our ability to be stronger on this issue, to project that voice and that message louder to those that are in a political office, both here in Florida as well as in Washington. I think it's really important to take a few particular numbers into context. We know that Hispanics are the fastest growing demographic in the United States. We know that Hispanics are changing the face of the school systems in the United States. Right now, according to Pew, 17 states, the entering kindergarten class, more than 20% of those students are Hispanics. The problem is that those kids are entering school systems that we know are failing them. Hispanics, although increasing in numbers, we also still have the highest dropout rate. That is unacceptable. And I don't think that that's just automatic. We know that because we know school systems like the one in Florida show us the opposite. Florida, 15 plus years ago, decided to take a different approach. And they actually embrace school choice, and we have a number of different programs in Florida. I know many of you are excited about one in particular, which I'm sure will talk a little bit more in detail later. But what happened in Florida is very, very important to note. Hispanic students in Florida are outperforming general population students in, I believe, more than 20 states across the country. And so that idea that just because someone is Hispanic or someone has to learn English or only goes in knowing Spanish and that's why they're not doing successful in school, we disagree with that. We know that if students, Hispanic students, Spanish-speaking students, understand and are given the right choices, they can succeed. We've seen that in Florida, and what we're hoping is to keep pushing that forward. While Florida is definitely a leader in school choice, we know that there are still students today that are being forced to attend schools that don't fit them. And to us, again, that is unacceptable. We think that school choice should empower every parent to decide for every student what is the best school for them. and what is the best education for them. So I encourage you to join us on this exciting campaign that we have, the school choice campaign. Look at the petitions. There'll be more information on our website as well for you to get involved. And I look forward to hearing from the rest of the panel. Thank you very much.